It's December the 30th, 2019, and I'm skint. I couldn't buy anybody any Christmas presents. I feel it sort of my obligation to share this so people moving forward in the near future won't have the fears that I had. I just want to share something with the viewers that I believe might help some people. And I want to start with a reality. Now, it's December the 30th, 2019, and I'm at the beginning of a journey for the rest of my life, which I thought would never ever happen. I'll never see myself in the position I'm in today, and I'll never see myself doing what it is that I'm setting out to do for the forthcoming years of the rest of my life. Now, I want to just share something with you that some people might find embarrassing, some people might find degrading, some people might think less of me, some people might think more of me, but it's nothing but the truth. So 2019 Christmas is the first Christmas that I've not been able to buy my children, my sisters, my brothers, my mum, my cousins, or any of my friends a Christmas present. Okay, so between the ages of 18 and 20, I've never ever ever been skint. Okay, broke, with no financial revenue stream options. So no avenues to make money and no avenues to get myself out of being skint. I've never had that predicament up until 2019, this Christmas. And at first, I was a little bit daunted with the expectation of being skint. It's a hurdle that I've had to come over. It's a hurdle that I've had to overcome to actually pursue the future that I believe that I'm destined to have. So I'm skint. I couldn't buy anybody any Christmas presents. I couldn't go out and buy the lavish food that people buy. I couldn't buy all the drink. I couldn't party. I couldn't do anything, okay? Boxing night, Christmas Eve, a couple of days before Christmas Eve, I was at home, right? Waiting to spend time with my daughters, with no money and no viable options to receive any money. Now, some people might find that sort of unbelievable, and some people might find it sort of, how could you put it, degrading. Some people might feel I'm less of a person, less of a man, less of a father, okay? So, with that in mind, being less of a person, less of a partner, less of a parent, less of a father, less of a man, okay? Them attributes are only equated because I can't buy materialism or materialistic things such as presents, alcohol. I can't go partying. Some people might find that depressing. Some people might find that degrading. Some people might fall into a depression, okay? But because this is nothing but the truth, I feel it sort of my obligation to share this so people moving forward in the near future won't have the fears that I had, okay? And they're about to embrace what it is they need to do. So I've never been skint. And the reason why I've never been skint is because I've always had options and avenues where I can actually generate financial revenue streams. Now, because it's nothing but the truth, I have to be open and honest. So prior to 2015, okay, anytime I was in this financial difficulties of being skint or heading towards running out of money, I had options, okay? And the options that I had was committing crime. And the crimes that I had to commit would be either selling drugs, protecting drugs, transporting drugs, or violence, okay? violence being in the way of robbing, stealing, or actually physically hurting people. So that was always a revenue stream I had available to me, and I was comfortable living with that revenue stream for a very large part, if not all of my life, bar the last 8 years. Everything I've ever been arrested for and everything I've ever been in prison for ranges from car stereo theft up to murder. I haven't ever been arrested for any sexual offences. I've never been under investigation for any sexual offences, and I've never been under investigation for any paedophilia or anything like that. But anything to do with crime, violence, robbing, stealing, you name it, I've been arrested for it, or I've been under investigation for it, or I've been under some sort of suspicion or some form of investigation. So bearing that in mind, when I tell you this truth, is the reality. So all these things I used to do. So I'll give you an example. If we was coming up to Christmas and I never had any money, then the easiest thing for me to do would to be get a consignment of drugs on bail, which means that I'll get them on consignment. When I sell them, I'll pay for the drugs. So I'll break some statistics down for you. So on an average, I'd get, say we got 50 kilos of skunk. So I'll get 50 kilos of skunk. Just to keep it simple, just say we were selling the 50 kilos of skunk at £5,000 a key. Right, so 50 kilos of £5,000 a key. Or no, I got them at £5,000 a key. And then basically I sold them at 6,600. Right. Right, so £1,600 profit. So if I put on £1,600 profit, and bear in mind that £1,600 wouldn't be all my money, so I'll break it down for you. So £1,600 profit, I'd have to pay a driver, I'd have to pay someone to look after it, I'd have to pay someone to deliver it, okay? So all them people need paying. So on average, they get £200 each. So they get £200, £200, £200. That's £600. Right, per key. And then I get £1,000 per key. So every 50 kilos, I get £50,000. It's £80,000 turnover. So £30,000 goes out in wages to the people that look after it, the driver that delivers it, and the person that sort of, there's always a middleman. So someone comes to me, they say, "Oh, Marvin, I need X amount." It's not for that person, it's for somebody else. So he's entitled to a drink for bringing that to the table. So he usually gets £200 to £500 a kilo. And then the driver, yeah, and then the person that looks after it. So just say they get £200 each, and then I get £1,000 because of me, it's here. Okay, so that's £50,000 for me. That was always an option. Now, if that wasn't available, then I'd actually go into my Rolodex and find another criminal associate that does either robberies, fraud, or violence. So I'd ring a few people up and I need a bit of ready. Is there anything happening? So they say, "What do you mean?" I say, "I need some ready. Is there anything happening? Have you got anything to do?" As it happens, we need this, we need that, or I need someone to have a slap. Someone needs a slap, right? So could you go and give someone a slap for me? There's 10 grand in it for you. Now, a slap means that they don't go to hospital, okay? Now, if you want to serve someone up, that means they go to hospital. If you want to end someone, that means they die. Someone giving someone a slap depends on what it is they're getting the slap for, will determine how much you get paid. Because I was working in an environment where people was running off with lots of money, giving someone a slap, that means they've got to pay back a debt, or they've been a little bit hesitant in paying and they need to pay, so they need a slap. So for that, you might get £5,000, £10,000, £15,000. If they get served up, then you might get maybe £20,000, £25,000. And then basically the murder would be anything between £25,000 to £50,000, depending on what people needed what doing. Me personally, I've never killed anybody for money, and I wouldn't advise anybody to do anything like that. But that was options, okay? So we're talking about nothing but the truth and options. So the options that I had was either killing someone, hurting someone, or putting someone in hospital for a range from maybe 5,000 up to 25, 30, 40,000. Or going on a robbery or a bit of work, something to steal. So that could range from anything. The most I ever stole, maybe a hundred and something £1,000 worth of jewellery is what I got arrested for once. And then anything up to that. So robbing, stealing, and then fraud. We used to buy the credit cards and then go and use the credit cards and then sell the stuff for a percentage of the credit cards. But depending on what credit card you got would determine how much you could get. So we used to get the American Express cards where you could get phenomenal amounts of credit on them. So anything over £50,000 was the credit cards I used to buy for maybe £5,000 or £6,000, and then you go and spend £50,000 on them. So these are things that we had available to us. Or the puff. So the puff, the fraud, the thieving, the robberies, the slappings, the shootings, or the murder. Now that's the whole range of the criminal fraternity. Now I always had that available to me, and on occasion I used it. On occasion I was arrested, on occasion I was put in prison. The opportunities was always there. The intent in me was always there. So when I'm looking back now, and I look at the prioritisation of everything I used to do and why I used to do everything, we got to revert back to priorities and what the priorities are there for. So my priorities were to provide a future for my children. Okay, that was the reality in what I'd done, because I didn't want my children to come from where I came from. Okay, so my mum and dad weren't good parental support or good guidance. I mean, I was just programmed very bad from a very young age. I was exposed to a lot of drink and drugs and violence growing up throughout my whole childhood. So my priorities was always to provide my kids with a better future and a better life and a better home and a better existence than I had. As long as I'd done that, I was happy. Come Christmas, I was skint. The house would be nice. Everything's nice in the house. All the mod cons you need, I had. The car, the watch, the jewellery, the furniture, the tellies, everything. The kids had all their bits and pieces. Come Christmas, the kids wanted the PS2, 3, whatever it is at the moment. The PlayStations, the games, the toys, and the holiday. So the holiday would come to maybe £5,000. The presents would come to maybe £2,000 or £3,000. And the food would come to another couple of £1,000. So for Christmas, for the family, you need £10,000 to £15,000 on average. With that, I was happy that my children had a beautiful Christmas. Outside of that, you're talking about the partying, the ego, fitting in with all the top villains, fitting in with all the faces, going to the places where all the faces are, and spending the money standing up and pretending to be someone that I wasn't. To be in these environments, you need to spend money on drink, on drugs, on women, on food. And that would usually amount to tens of thousands of pounds. So on any one weekend over the Christmas period, you might spend £5,000 to £10,000. Over the Christmas and New Year, you maybe spend £25,000, £30,000. And that was just wasted on shallow, single-minded men and women that was only there for egotistical reasons. The same reasons I was there, to give it a big one, pretend to be rich, pretend like I hadn't care in the world, pretend that I was this Keiko rich person without a care in the world. This is the reality of most criminals' Christmas, okay? So this is the best Christmas I've ever had, okay? And I haven't got one, well, I have got £1, but I haven't got £1,000, right? I haven't got £1,000. I haven't even got £500, okay? I haven't got £500. I haven't got any opportunities to get £500, like for Christmas, for New Year. I haven't got it. So I haven't got no avenues to make any money. Now, normally, I would have done anything to get money, to the point where I would have ended up in prison, okay? And a few times I did end up in prison. And I stayed in prison over Christmas, over New Year, and throughout my children's life and their birthdays, holidays and stuff. Because of that egotistical drive and addiction to fit in to these environments. Now, this year I'd say was my best Christmas ever. Now, why for me it was the best Christmas was because I couldn't buy anybody anything. Nothing was expected of me, okay? I was peaceful, I was happy, I was at home, I didn't have to worry about jeopardising my freedom, risking my future, or going to prison, you know? So no one wanted to hurt me, I didn't want to hurt anybody. I weren't out there robbing, stealing or selling drugs, you know? I was at home, cuddling my children, having a laugh and a giggle with my children, you know? Being where I always wanted to be when I was sitting in prison, okay? So, the best Christmas I've ever had has been the only Christmas I've had nothing.